Hello everyone, welcome to LeeToledo. I'm Kris Lee, Daniel Toledo's partner. It's a pleasure to see everyone again, and today we will be talking about EB2s and EB2 NIW. The main distinction between an EB2 and an EB2 NIW is that the EB2 requires a sponsor and a labor certificate. As discussed in our prior videos about labor certificates are submitted to the Department of Labor in Atlanta, Georgia, the U.S. Department of Labor, and it takes about 9 to 12 months at a minimum for it to be processed and for one to be issued, meaning that the process for you in terms of the immigration benefit cannot enter into the USCIS process until you've been issued a labor certificate. So that's the biggest distinction, because on an EB2 NIW, it is a self-petition, meaning as soon as your documentation is ready to be submitted to USCIS, you can go straight into your immigration process, because this is a benefit you are seeking for national interest waiver of the labor certificate, okay? So we often get asked the question, who can apply? And I think many people understand that for the EB2, advanced degree holders, people who have masters, people who have professional degrees, like a doctor, like a lawyer, many engineers, dentists, and other professionals in which there are advanced degrees. And I think that another distinction you would like to understand is maybe, what if I don't have an advanced degree? If you don't have an advanced degree, but you have an exceptional ability and expertise because of many years of experience working in your field, you will also qualify. And that's very important to know. And if you work with an attorney who is experienced and has gotten many professionals and professionals without advanced degrees or even without formal education approved, they will know how to work with you and your expertise to highlight your exceptional ability in your sector. And I think that's very important to understand, that even if you don't have the formal education, if you are an expert and you have the exceptional ability in your sector, you too can qualify and be approved for permanent residency, which will result in a green card, not only for yourself, but for your family members, including your spouse, your children who are 21 and unmarried. And the other thing that I think is very important is that when you are applying for this benefit, and you are here on a visa that is not going to lead you to permanent residence, we can actually do a concurrent filing for you where you can adjust whatever visa you have, so that you can adjust from the non-immigrant visa to permanent residence, which will lead to a green card. And while you are waiting, USCIS will also allow you to have travel authorization and work authorization. And it's often called a combo card. And you may say, well, what does that mean? That means that while you are waiting for USCIS to adjudicate your petition, you will be able to work legally and travel legally, meaning you can depart the U.S. and re-enter the U.S. legally with the combo card that will have your travel authorization. And that this benefit also applies to your spouse and your children who are under 21, which currently the processing time at the Texas Service Center is 12 and a half months for 80% of the people who may be applying. What does that mean? That means that 80% of the people will get their petition adjudicated in 12 and a half months. But this is an average, meaning that it could be longer for the 20%, or it could be earlier than the 12 and a half months for 20% of the people who are applying. So what do you need to do in proving your eligibility and your ability to be granted an adjustment of status to permanent residence? Well, I want to talk to you about EB2 NIWs because I think this is one of the best visas that's available to people who have expertise, who have advanced degrees, and who are experienced in their sector and able to contribute to the U.S. with the skill set they have. In the EB2 NIW process, you have a three-pronged test. One is to show that the proposed endeavor you have has substantial merit and national importance. Secondly, that your proposed endeavor, based on the success of your past, that you are more likely to be able to succeed with that and advance that same success in the U.S. The third is that based on this proposed endeavor, which has substantial merit and national importance, that it is so crucial for you to contribute those skill sets that the U.S. should waive the labor certificate because of the value that you are bringing to the U.S. and the contribution it will make. And what I can stress to you is that it is not just a question of meeting the eligibility requirement that will automatically lead to permanent residency and a green card, but to show and highlight that your proposed endeavor not only meets the minimum requirements, but that you are an individual of such exceptional ability that you have national importance. And the crux of your approval of this EB2 will turn on national importance. And so you may be saying to yourself, gosh, I'm great at what I do, but do I have national importance for the U.S. government? Do I have national importance that the U.S. government will value and validate as something that will be important for me to participate in as an employee or as an employer in the U.S.? And that question can only be answered based on your work experience, your background in terms of education and training. And that's why it's important to consult with somebody who is familiar and who has worked with a lot of EB2 NIWs so that they can help you craft and substantiate your merit as someone holding an exceptional ability and qualifying under the EB2 NIW category, but also that it is substantiated to the point that USCIS will agree and believe in the merits that you can offer to the U.S. government as well as the U.S. as a whole in terms of the country. Another question that many people ask is, do I have to have a lot of publications that I may have published in my line of work? And the answer is yes and no. If for what you do, that publication is essential and is part of your sector in terms of understanding that you as a leader need to publish, and I would use somebody who's, say, a researcher, right? Somebody who's in research, their work needs to be published. But somebody maybe who's a surgeon may not need to have to publish as much. Maybe the surgeon, it's all about how many surgeries has he done. So it really turns on what is your expertise, what is it that you want to propose as your endeavor to the U.S. Another question that is often presented are, what kind of forms do I need to fill out? Well, for an employment-based visa, you always start with Form I-140. So that's the basic form. And then after that, you will have your concurrent adjustment of status forms that you will submit, which would be the forms I-140, I-765, and I-131. I-765 pertaining to work authorization, and I-131 pertaining to travel authorization. And another question that's asked is, are there some professionals that find more job opportunities than others to get the EB2 visa? And of course, yes. I think those occupations which are always in need, and they're usually in the STEM field, engineers, people in the medical field, people in logistics, people who are in business management, finance. Those are all sort of the standard industry people that are always in that are in high demand, but in which there's a shortage of workers available in the U.S. But I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I don't fit into this category, so I don't qualify, or I don't fit into this category. I think that if you are an expert in what you do and you've had success and you have an expertise that is rare and people seek out, then you should really talk to a professional who can assess whether this is an expertise that could be beneficial to the U.S. and have merit for the U.S. to recognize and think that a contribution can be made, because it is a professional who does a lot of EB2, such as myself, can assess whether your skill set and your expertise is something that is needed in the U.S. and for which USCIS can validate that there's merit to the services or the skill set that you may have. Another question that comes up quite frequently is, if the visa application is denied, is it possible to carry out the process again, or do I have to wait? And I always say, you know what, if you had a very strong visa and for some reason you got denied, reapply. I know so many worthy individuals who had very strong petitions, but for one reason or another they were denied, and they reapplied and they were approved. And so if your skill set, your experience, your expertise is something that is contributing to the U.S. and will continue to contribute to the U.S. for national importance and has substantial merit, then please know that you can reapply. You don't have to wait a certain period of time. If you're denied, reapply immediately and work with a professional who can advise and guide you to highlight the expertise that you have that will be the skill set that the U.S. is looking for, so that USCIS will understand the importance and the validity of your expertise. Does the EB2 visa allow you to win the green card as family members? I often get asked that question, and as I explained earlier, yes, this benefit extends to you, your spouse, and your children who are 21 and unmarried. Many people, when they hear that it's a wait time of more than a year, they're often discouraged and really wonder whether this is something that they can do. But I think that everyone understands that being able to live and work and have permanent residency in the U.S. is a dream for people all over the world. And it's a dream not only for yourself, but oftentimes for your children and your future generations, for your family. And so it's 12 and a half months right now. That processing time changes every month, but it's a dream that can be fulfilled, and can be fulfilled with the merits of what it is you do, your skill set, your expertise. And so if you feel that you have these qualities about what you do, please contact a legal professional who works in this area. And if you are interested in the things that I have been sharing with you, please contact LeeToledo, and we would love to hear about what you do and your life experiences to see whether your dreams can be fulfilled in the U.S. along with all of us who are immigrants to this country. So I thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.